Alrighty, hello everybody. Activity 122 is what we're going to be going over today. This is an introduction to 3D solid modeling. Basically, so far in this class, we first began by learning about the engineering design process. After that, we ended up learning about some sketches, basics of sketching, concept sketches, what a front view is. Then we learned about isometric views or isometric sketches, which is basically a means of representing an object in 3 dimensions, right? And so now we ended up having that beginning approach that was basically we were hand drawing everything out. Well, what we're going to get to today is where we're going to be using the computer to create 3D models. And what you're going to notice is that this is going to be a whole lot better because it's going to look a whole lot more realistic, right? And also we're going to be able to see so many more views other than just the view that we end up drawing out, right? It's going to be closer to us actually having the object and being able to hold and see the object, right? Us creating these 3D models on the computer. So what we're going to end up doing is you're going to know how to create a 3D model in Onshape of a physical object, but then also of a design idea that you have as well. We're going to create that too. So in terms of the resources here, always very, very helpful to look at your resources in the e-text. They have right here, what is Fusion 360? We're actually not going to be viewing that for this activity though, because we're going to be looking at Onshape is what we're going to be using. So I'm going to point out the resource for you later on that you'll want to check out in your spare time and look over. Now, 3D modeling software. 3D model is a computer representation used to convey detailed information about a physical object. It allows us to be able to see many different views, right? We'll be able to spin it, look around at the different orthographic views of this. We'll also be able to zoom in to see some very fine detail. We can also end up dimensioning this out so that we can create a dimension drawing so that we can understand more about this object as well. And what we're going to be doing in this activity is we're going to actually show you how you can use CAD software to create 3D models. Okay. Now you might be wondering, Mr. Rainbolt, what is CAD software? CAD software, CAD stands for computer-aided design. Sometimes other people will tell you it is computer-aided drafting as well. So computer-aided design software is what we're using. That is CAD software. So right here, this is a resource you definitely want to check out. It is the What is Onshape. The 3D modeling software we will be using in class is going to be the Onshape software. You can watch this video. They're going to explain it to you. In a nutshell, Onshape is a browser-based 3D modeling software, meaning you can bring it up in a browser of basically any IoT device. What is that? Any device that can connect to the internet, you can end up bringing in Onshape. You can also use Onshape on your iPhones, on your iPads, also on Androids, I believe now too. So you can end up accessing all your files. You can also edit your files on there. Please, please, please do check out this right here, Onshape Account Creation Guide. Please follow that. Make sure that you create an account on there. That will create your account for you. Basically, you're going to end up having to put in some important information. You're also going to have to put in the school website too. If you just Google search Madison Highland Prep, you're going to end up finding our school's website URL and then copy and paste that into there. So on here, there are tons of different other things that you're going to want to read. Make sure you know this. I'm not going to go through it because I'm going to allow you all to look over that. All right. Make sure you take the time to do that. Anyways, we're going to pop back in here. So that's going to give you a little bit of information on Onshape and what that is. In the worksheet, there are questions over that. Now, before we dive into creating 3D models, I am going to want to make sure that you all understand some basic modeling approaches for 3D models. Now, if you look at just this object right here, and I zoom in on this, what I want you to think about is if I asked you to create this object for me right now, how would you do that? Think about if I asked you to create this object right here, right now, how would you do that? Okay, so what you might have been thinking, how you're going to create that object, were 2 different ways. You might have ended up thinking, okay, I'm going to take a wooden 2x4, maybe I'm going to cut it at a certain length, right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut out and I'm going to try to chisel out this little piece right here so that I end up with this final object. If you thought about an approach of creating that object in that manner, you were using a subtractive modeling approach. A subtractive modeling approach is where we cut out or we take away, we subtract from an object, where we start with more than we need, we take away a certain amount so that we can end up with our final object. If you, however, were thinking, well, maybe I'll take this little wooden piece that looks like this, and then I could take another wooden piece that has these dimensions, and then I could like wood glue it, I could clamp it together, right? Then you might be thinking that you could create the final object in that manner. That would be using an additive approach. An additive approach is where we add in a certain part to create our final object. All right. Make sure that you know those 2 different modeling approaches. Very, very important for our quiz on Friday. So right here, we have the 2 definitions of those if you want a formal definition for what those are. But very, very important to know that as we are working in Onshape creating our 3D solid models. Okay, so at this point, what I would like for you all to do is bring up the worksheet that we have. It is 122, activity 122. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be answering some questions over 3D modeling as well as Onshape. And you're also going to be creating these models right here. I do give you the dimensions, and additionally, I do have help videos in the worksheet as well to show you how to create these objects. So you should not be having any problems with doing so because I've got those videos to help you all out. Please do make sure, remember, you need to create an Onshape account. Please click on this right here, distance learning, what is Onshape? Click in here and then click Onshape student account creation guide. This will show you everything you need to do to be able to create an Onshape account. All right, perfect. Hope that was helpful. Good luck on activity 122. I will see you all later. Bye-bye.